UTRGV going with this 4-3-3 alignment for tonight. They are happy to have a couple different players back in the lineup, but one of those is Alexis Gonzalez in goal, the junior out of Brownsville. He is a Rio Grande Valley guy, a returning starter from last year. Hasn't played in any of the first 6 outings and should give the Vaqueros a shot in the arm as he's between the pipes tonight. Meanwhile, for the Espino, it is going to be Jalen Mitchell at that outside back spot, the left wing back spot, to try to give Kevin Hudson some good run. And I tell you, Jalen Mitchell, it was evident in the second half of that match against FIU. He was a big reason why SMU controlled possession in the second half of that match.
He was a real problem for FIU the other day. First of all, he's just fast and covers a lot of ground in a hurry, but he was more direct getting into the box. He took defenders on 1v1 and beat them on the dribble, and thereby setting up either shots or getting into a space where he could find a teammate with a cross. I would say it was one of his better games of the year against FIU, and if he can replicate that kind of performance tonight, Kevin Hudson and the SMU coaching staff will be very pleased.
Came here as a midfielder, but today playing the outside back spot for Kevin Hudson's team. It is a really nice night. 83 degrees at game time. Humidity is at 47% right now, but it still only feels like 83. Kevin Hudson loves these night games. He definitely prefers it, and we're getting to the time of the year where the lights take over even at 7 o'clock kickoffs. Very little wind here in Dallas as well. Right now, it might kick up every once in a while. We'll let you know, but if it does, it would be coming directly out of the north, from left to right across the field. SMU gets the first possession, and Niko Djordjevic on the trigger in. SMU coming off the 1-1 tie against FIU, a former rival out of the American Athletic Conference, and a team that's been in the top 25 at times the last few years. They were having a rough start to their season. SMU gave up the opener and then had to come back to pick up the equalizer. Could never get that game-winning goal. SMU holding possession early on. Bynum wins a header down to Escorcia, and an early pullback by Mohamed Shabadine to pick up the foul. And SMU will have a set piece early on. It seemed like SMU lived in the set piece the other day against FIU. It wasn't just the corner kicks. There were a lot of fouls, 19 of them on FIU the other day.
Yeah, it was absolutely a free kick drill for Bailey Sparks, who took at least the majority of them, maybe all of them, with Kieran Pino out of the lineup. It was a very, very start and stop kind of second half.
He's looking back post. Brock Bolt trying to keep it in. And the third ball is one down by Salvo. He drives it low in an early test for Alexis Gonzalez. We said he's just back in the lineup, and he makes his first save of the year.
Yeah, and we asked Brahim Hancock before the game, if Gonzalez was sort of chomping at the bit, and he looks at us and he said, this guy hasn't played since mid-August. He could not be more excited and more wound up for today's game. And quite honestly, that's something worth watching, because that kind of boost of energy and emotion can do one of two things. Either it can make a player turn in the performance of his life, or he might get a little too aggressive or a little too reckless isn't quite the right word, but you wonder if he'll take too many chances. So how he maintains and controls his emotion to play with passion rather than emotion will be worth watching.
Look at this run by Djordjevic, so brave. Escorcia trying to win it back, and he does. Outside right to Neve Berkovitz. Berkovitz steady on the ball. SMU dominating possession early. Just about 2.5 minutes in here in Dallas. SMU has won all 7 previous matchups with UTRGV, including a 2-1 victory last season and 7-2 back in 2022. Djordjevic now on the left side of the field. Slips off the ball. Jalen Mitchell is able to take it over. As the two wingbacks play next to each other. Reverse it all the way back over to Danny Escorcia. It's just sailed over his head by Bailey Sparks.
Danny Escorcia sort of gave up on that one and then threw his heel up behind him. If he'd been able to pull it down that way, that would have been one of the more unusual highlights you'll see.
Kind of an arabesque type move, right?
Reverse bicycle kick or something?
Well, I was referring to ballet, but, Yeah, soccer as well.
I'm going to defer to you on all ballet-related conversations.
I'm happy to do it. 3.5 gone in the match so far. UTRGV coming off of that 6-0 loss at Oral Roberts. Remember, ORU is a team that came into SMU and drew with the Mustangs 1-1 on the 25th of August. A long ball for Djordjevic. Nico runs it down for SMU. Defended 1v1. Djordjevic turning onto his left foot, trying to play it down for Bailey Sparks. Sparks trying to get back after it, and a good job to slide to it by UTRGV's Camito Fritz. And the battle for the ball won eventually by Sparks in the corner. Here's Escorcia out front. Bynum, extra pass. Jalen Mitchell retreating on it. Mitchell dribbling down to the end line, and he sends a shot in that is wide. Jalen Mitchell, one of the first SMU players to go after the goal.
SMU is a team that typically plays a very controlled possession game, but the Mustangs have come out pressing much higher than they usually do, trying to force the issue. We saw Bailey Sparks over in the corner on a ball that 90% of the time you would just let it roll out of bounds and regroup and start again. He engaged and was able to keep possession. It'll be interesting to see, A, how much success the Mustangs have in this higher stance, and B, how long they stick with it.
Long ball down to the end line. Kiviano Francis catches up with it and tries to throw a cross in front to Sakati, but it is eliminated by Martin Dominguez. Dominguez, who has not given up a goal in the run of play since the Cal game in the 55th minute. He had 2 shutouts after that and did give up the penalty kick against FIU last time out, and even in so doing, he guessed right and nearly stopped it. How good of a form has Dominguez been in lately?
Oh, I think he's been very good. I mean, guessed right is, of course, the perfect way to describe that penalty kick. That's what every goalie has to do. Guess, hope the shooter goes the same direction you do. But look, Martin Dominguez has waited a long time for his opportunity, and he got into the lineup against Cal. And when we talked a couple games ago with Jaime Ibarra, the Mustangs goalkeeper coach, he said, look, he's the best shot stopper we have.
Berkovich slotting one in on a beautiful run by Bailey Sparks. He hits Neve Berkovich, and SMU is on the board in the 6th minute.
Beautiful shot by Berkovich into the lower left corner, but it was only possible because of a gorgeous pass by Bailey Sparks, who threaded that ball between a couple of defenders. Here you see him approach, and just as he's about to get hit, he punches it forward perfectly on target, and Berkovich was the beneficiary.
Neve Berkovich, his 2nd goal of the season. Doing so this year on only 3 shots. Berkovich has picked his spots, and he picked right there. The Mustangs go up on UTRGV 1-0, 6 minutes into the match.
If I'm Kevin Hudson and I've got a player who's scoring on 2 out of 3 shots, I'm telling him to shoot all night, every game.
You would be an excellent coach, my friend.
Oh, wouldn't it? Yeah, be brilliant.
Meanwhile, the point string for Bailey Sparks is really spectacular. This is the 10th game of the year, and Sparks has either a goal or an assist in 9 of the 10 matches.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who, whether he scores a goal or not, always appears on the stat sheet. He covers as much ground, as much mileage as anybody in that midfield, and he's technically so superior to most of the players on either team that he is going to create chances, whether he gets the shot or sets up one of his teammates. When SMU scores, chances are number 10 is involved one way or another.
He's having a great year. 6 assists now. He hasn't scored in the run of play, but he's got those 4 penalty kicks as well that he's been successful on, which is the nation's leading number at this point. And SMU's offense working well early.
When we talked with Brahim Hancock before this game a couple days ago, you know, we go through, when we visit with coaches, we go through their teams and their tendencies and what they've been doing well and not so well, etc. And then we usually ask about your opponent. What do you see? What matchups do you see? And he very quickly started that conversation by acknowledging Bailey Sparks and what an incredibly talented and productive player he is. Number 10 is the first one to come up on a lot of opposing team scouting reports.
5 assists this season for Bailey Sparks, I should say, which matches a career high. He also had 5 last year to go along with 2 goals. And got a good half the season left to go for the SMU Mustangs as Bailey Sparks helped stir the drink for the SMU Mustangs. And for a Mustangs team that has struggled to score with regularity this year, for Sparks to be in the middle of basically everything offensively says so much about the midfielder and why he's a Hermann Trophy watch list guy.
Absolutely. It's one thing if you're playing on a team that's beating everybody by 4 or 5 or 6 goals a night, but you look at the SMU scores, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1-0, 2-2. A lot of one-goal games and ties, and most of them very low scoring. So, yeah, to be piling up assists on a team that doesn't find the back of the net too frequently says a lot about him. He's on the Hermann Trophy list. He's on every opposing coach's mind, and he is he's simply one of the best midfielders in the country.
And Sparks gets it off to a score. So you hear extra pass to Djordjevic moving through the middle. He sees Mitchell at the corner of the 18, slots it across, looking for the head of Lopez and just over the top of the striker.
Yeah, very quick serve by Mitchell looking for Lopez, and I think by the time Lopez saw it, the ball was already on the way. He really didn't have time to get up quickly enough. But a good idea by Mitchell. If he could have hooked that ball down maybe a half a foot, he might have found Lopez's forehead.
Takeaway by Salvo. Scorsia trying to stay on it. But this UTRGV team, which is pretty good in possession normally, having trouble with some giveaways early on against this adept SMU team. Scorsia, no foul given as he looked to have taken down Shabadin. No foul there either as Lopez is taken to the ground. Our central referee is Michael Laverne for this evening's action. UTRGV gets it across the midline. Watch for big number 9 in this one. Odiso Sukati. They call him KG. He scored the first goal of his career back in 2002 right here against the SMU Mustangs. He has 8 goals since, and definitely the most threatening player for the Vaqueros. As this one looks for Pablo Torre from Francis, but it's denied by SMU. The Vaqueros have some offensive weaponry. You talk about Zuccotti, and then also Kiviano Francis, who scored the first goal of his career against SMU last year.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some success and acquitted themselves well in these matchups with SMU. And yes, Francis is...
This is dangerous here for Jalen Mitchell. Mitchell stops on it, looks to feed it across. He does so. The bouncing ball and one-timer skies. And there's the 4th shot of the year by Neve Berkovitz. He had a wide open goal to look at.
His completion percentage is falling, isn't it? And he wanted that one back. As soon as he hits it, he just flops to the ground because he got under it. And at that close a range, if you get under it, it's easy to airmail it, which he did almost into the parking garage at the north end of the field.
Still, an excellent advancement by SMU, and offensively they look to be in form against this UTRGV team so far, creating a ton of chances.
They are, and that's one thing Coach Hancock was talking about, how the Mustangs, yes, they're good on set pieces and corners, that's true, but he also talked about how the Mustangs keep possession and are able to create chances, whether they result in goals or even whether they result in shots. They're able to maintain possession through the middle third into the offensive third, keep away from opposing defenses, and getting chances that are threatening. He said that the Mustangs are a better offensive team than their goals total would indicate, and through the first 13 minutes tonight, they certainly seem to be.
5 shots, 2 of them on goal for SMU, nothing so far for UTRGV. And even the Vaqueros, who lost 6-0 last time out, they only got outshot 12-11, and the corner kick game was 4-4. It was one of those nights where anything that could go wrong did go wrong in Tulsa for UTRGV that evening, and this start for SMU, though, has been dominant.
Right, but it's a matter of it's one thing to create a lot of chances, but it's another thing entirely to create chances and actually finish them. And I say that because when these two teams met a year ago, SMU outshot UTRGV 16-3. Final score was only a 1-goal difference. It was a 2-1 match, and the Vaqueros certainly had chances to try to get an equalizer.
Sparks trying to go through the middle, and Endo, the center back, takes it away for UTRGV, and good thing he did, because Sparks could have been in there. Mitchell misses on that opportunity to take the ball back, and Soto Matsuo will dump it back to his center back, Joaquin Suarez. He's highlighted right off the bat, part of the U17 national team in Venezuela, U20 as well. Vaqueros certainly have some capable guys as they prepare to go into the WAC after tonight's action. Next Sunday, they will start WAC play against Grand Canyon, one of the better teams in the Western Athletic Conference. Shabadin. And now Endo again. Wings it out for Cesar Baltazar. There's Francis on the wing. Pressured hard by Djordjevic, forcing him to reverse his field on this first intentional possession by the Vaqueros in the match. And eventually Lamar Bynum takes it away, and SMU, I think, was hoping for an advantage to be played there, but it does not happen. Instead, a yellow card comes out against UTRGV on this slide by Pablo Torre. Torre has been booked for the first time in the match.
That one was a little bit unusual simply because whenever you see a collision like that and a player goes down, if he hops up looking at the official holding his hand up as if to say, where's a card? At that point, you rarely see one come out.
That's a good point.
Because the officials don't like to be talked into their decisions. But clearly Michael Laverne was already getting ready to reach for a yellow.
Maybe after looking at the situation and how the pass would have sprung Jalen Mitchell for another dangerous run, he decided the booking was in order tonight. Brock Pope making another start at the central center back position for SMU, the transfer from Bellarmine. As SMU looks for a way through UTRGV, and the Vaqueros play back with almost 11 men back behind that center line until now. Hope starts it with a pass down to Sparks. However, SMU gives some ground as Scorsia tries to turn, and another foul against Shabadin. That's his second.
Scorsia is so good at that, just making the first touch and twisting as much as turning, sort of spinning off a defender, and he's drawn several whistles that way this year.
Quick restart, and SMU has the Vaqueros scrambling. Zarnik, goals in back-to-back games, plays it to the wing to Djordjevic. Djordjevic 1v2, dribbling in, stopping on it. Djordjevic turning through defenders, and a good job to play it aggressively by Fritz to get it out of harm's way for UTRGV.
A nice job by Fritz maintaining possession as Neve Berkovitz ran into his back, and it wasn't anything egregious on Berkovitz's part, but there was a lot of contact, and he shoved him and sort of knocked him off balance a little bit. Fritz kept his cool, kept his balance, and maintained possession for the Vaqueros.
If you're joining us late, you missed a 6th-minute goal by SMU. It came from Neve Berkovitz off the assist on a great run and then passed by Bailey Sparks. Second of the season by the SMU Mustangs attacking midfielder Neve Berkovitz, and assist number 5 of the year for Bailey Sparks. SMU so far out shooting UTRGV 5-0. Interesting that these are half of the Division I soccer playing teams on the men's side in Texas here on the field today. Anytime you get a Texas versus Texas matchup in Division I, you're seeing half of those teams. And more thoughts on that after Danny Escorcia goes after the goal, caught the keeper out, but on the backpedaling save, Alexis Gonzalez keeps Danny Escorcia out of the goal.
Absolutely beautiful save. Backpedaling is right. He was probably 10 yards out. Escorcia looks up and sees him off his line. Goalie starts backpedaling, stretches that hand out, And I think that ball was headed into the upper left corner. Beautiful shot, better save.
No doubt in my mind, Steve. I think it certainly was. And SMU will have their first corner of the game after having 16 in the second half of the last match against FIU, and they didn't score on any of them. Bailey Sparks, low line drive, right back at him. He'll get a chance to do it again. Another serve, this time to the back post, and trying to go for Pope or the nearly Olympico type goal. It's off of the crossbar and out.
Pope was hoping to get a call that the ball may have been deflected over the end line, over the crossbar, but Michael Laverne didn't agree, and Michael Laverne is the one whose opinion matters.
Looks like Gonzalez had missed it as Bailey Sparks presses high. But like we were saying, there are only 4 Division I men's soccer programs in Texas.
Right.
For as many universities as are here, the population, the popularity of soccer, that's just got to be shocking to a soccer lifer like yourself.
Well, it is, and when you think about it, for a long, long time, there was one Division I team in the entire state, that being SMU.
As Francis, at the top of the 18, tries a drive and Salvo blocks it out.
And we talked with Brahim Hancock about how this game obviously is not a conference game for these two teams, but what is the emotional investment and how important or how big a game is this? And he said, look, this is Texas against Texas. This means recruiting. The schools do recruit some of the same players. If UTRGV can walk out of Dallas with a draw or a victory tonight, think what that does for that program going forward into the rest of the conference portion of the season. This is a bigger game.
He pointed to a match at Seattle earlier in his career.
Right. His first year as head coach, they went on the road to University of Seattle, which was number 17 in the country, and got a victory on the road. And when you go beat a ranked, first of all, winning on the road against anyone is hard enough. But when you go on the road and beat a nationally ranked team on their field, that can be an enormous boost for any team.
And he said even coming out with a draw in a game like this would be huge for recruiting.
Absolutely.
And even if you're not recruiting the same guys, to win those battles against some of your contemporaries in the WAC or even teams that might be in the region, like in the American or something like that, it can do wonders for your team. As Brahim Hancock is in his 5th year as the head coach at UTRGV, 8th year overall as a head coach. He was at Radford University 3 years before taking over the Vaqueros program in 2020.
You made a good point that even if you're on the recruiting trail but not talking about a player that SMU is also recruiting, say you're recruiting against Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word came to Dallas and lost by 2. And if you can say, yeah, well, we went to Dallas and got a draw or a victory, that might sway the interests of a player.
No doubt. As Lamar Bynum knocks it back to Djordjevic, steps on the ball. Escorcia is able to stay on it and shield it away from Suarez. Suarez, really good defender and just a little too aggressive there. Escorcia is down.
Escorcia is so good at this because, look, he's the smallest player on the field in a lot of games that SMU plays. He's listed at 5'5". Suarez is 6'2", big, strong guy. And Escorcia, in order to just get on the field, has to be able to protect the ball from bigger, stronger guys. And he has great positioning, and he has great ball control, and he's able to turn and twist away from defenders so quickly. Part of the time, sometimes, even if that doesn't lead to a shot, it does lead to a whistle.
Joaquin Suarez looks like he just tells people in the weight room, yeah, when he's bench pressing, yeah, just put one Danny Escorcia on each side, please. And that's kind of what he starts with as a warm-up. Here's the serve, punched out by Gonzalez. And this one is going to run out in the corner for a corner kick for SMU. And a man down for the Mustangs.
That is Brock Pope, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He may have been the target, but Gonzalez went up and obviously being able to go up and use his hands, went up and through the back of Brock Pope.
Owen Zarnick attending to his central center back, and obviously you want to stay in the match if you possibly can here so you can stay in the match at this point. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much the hands and the arms going up to the back of Pope's head. I think it was a knee right around the rib cage. And it didn't look like a direct hit, but still, when you've got somebody coming full speed who slams into your back, and as we see, Pope got taken out of his left shoe.
It could knock the wind out of you for sure.
Absolutely. Nice to see a couple of the Vacaros checking on Pope. Look, we want to own the box, but we're not trying to hurt anybody here.
Here's the corner kick. A lot of room on the backside, and Bynum looking for a foul. He got a head on it, was not able to direct it toward the goal. SMU trying to pressure in the corner to keep it in, and Berkovitz eventually called for the foul, knocking over Arif Vera.
I understand Bynum's complaint as he went crashing into the net. He really laid out for that ball and had a defender on his hip. Didn't get hit hard, but there was just enough contact to sort of steer him off the path of connecting with the ball. And I think more than anything, the fact that he landed fairly close to the goalpost might be what concerned him. And let's be honest, if you're in the offensive third and anybody breathes on you in the box, you're going to look for a whistle just in case you can get a PK out of it.
Absolutely. A little over 22 minutes remaining in the opening half, and a matchup of two of the four men's soccer Division I teams in Texas. So that begs the question, if you could pick a couple schools, 3 schools in the state of Texas that you would want to see add a men's soccer program, who would they be? Who comes to mind? Who do you think has the kind of university personality to pull it off?
Well, I am hang on.
As this drive goes in on Dominguez. Dominguez sees it squirt around in the goal. He got kicked by Sucati. And a stoppage on the play. Camito Fritz nearly was able to beat Dominguez. And then because of that whistle, which came before Francis put it in the back of the net, it's still 1-0. Wow. Sucati caught him right on the forehead, and Becky Regal is out trying to apply a little bit of pressure to what it appears to be a head wound.
Yeah, Sucati got, I think it was just got his toe with the follow through of that shot. Got Martin Dominguez right in the forehead, and you've got to be fearless to play goalie anyway. And Jaime Ibarra, the goalkeeper coach for the Mustangs, was telling us a couple of games ago that even among goalkeepers, Martin Dominguez is absolutely fearless. He throws his body in front of everything without any thought really for his own well-being perhaps. And look, Sucati certainly wasn't trying to hurt him. The ball was 3 feet from the goal and his team is trailing by 1. Of course you're going to do everything you can to try to punch the ball free and see if you can figure out a way to squirt it into the net. Most importantly, of course, you're hoping that Dominguez is okay.
Raheem Hancock using this moment to motivate his guys who have failed to score in the last few games. They got shut out by Oral Roberts. They got shut out at Houston Christian. Their last goal was on the 12th of September against Jacksonville in a 1-1 draw.
And I don't know if they're thinking that Dominguez may have to come out simply because I don't see another goalkeeper warming up.
Well, Dominguez has certainly taken over the one spot for SMU goalkeeping-wise as we get another look. The drive by Fritz, and then KG Sucati comes in. Oof. Ooh.
And Dominguez obviously completely extended, completely laying out. And in order to get his hands in front of that ball, that means you don't have your hands in front of your face.
This is Jordan Yeager, who is putting on the jersey to at least warm up right now. Yeager, who has not made an appearance for SMU yet, the 6'2 junior, is a transfer from St. Francis University in Pennsylvania, where he was a two-time all-conference keeper and, in fact, the NEC Keeper of the Year last year, and went undefeated. Yeager, who suffered through some injury before the season, would love to get his chance, but he doesn't want to see his chance be because Martin Dominguez isn't fit to play.
Exactly. And that's right. That's an emotional seesaw that everybody goes through while waiting for a chance to get into a lineup. Everybody on both teams wants to play, but you don't want it to be at the expense of the health of one of your teammates. And it looks like medical staff for SMU wrapping Martin Dominguez's head. If he stays in, it'll be interesting to watch. Does he still have that same sort of fearless edge?
Mm-hmm.
Based on everything the coaches have said about him and his personality, my guess is he will.
He's going to need some tide on that shirt, I think. It's Becky Regal. Tries to do a little work on the blood that ended up down there. There's not tide in that Powerade bottle, is there? I hope not.
I'm guessing not. And hey, it is a warm night. If nothing else, maybe the saturated jersey will cool him off just a tiny bit.
Michael Laverne is going to take a look at the wound, and obviously there's some leftover spillage they'll want to clean off of his face as well. But this team really trusts in Martin Dominguez right now. They know he goes all out for them, as any keeper would, and they would love to see him stay in this match if he can.
Yeah, and if he can stay in this match, and it looks like he's going to, you already know the goalie playing behind you is a tough guy. Has to be for that, just to play the position. And if he can take a shot like that, and we don't know the extent of the cut on his forehead, but there was something there that they had to bandage up. For him to stay in after taking a shot to the head like that, if his teammates didn't understand his toughness before, they sure do now.
So Hodio Sukati called for the foul.
But I also think it was good that Michael Laverne did not hand out a yellow card. He wasn't trying to hurt Dominguez. He didn't, come in cleats up or anything like that. Yes, it was a foul. Yes, it was in a dangerous place for sure. But I think it was a good foul but not card decision by Michael Laverne.
Back underway after a good 10-minute delay following that injury to Martin Dominguez, and he stays in after taking the wound to the head. John Little alongside Steve Lansdale and our whole ESPN ACC Network extra crew in Dallas on a really nice night. It'll be about 80 degrees. Of course, if you pay attention to ACC sports, you know that SMU got one of their biggest football wins in quite a while right next door, as the SMU Mustangs were able to take down Florida State yesterday as well. The campus buzzing about that and about everything ACC. It's been a nice start to the first year in the ACC for SMU as a whole. The teams across the board really have acquitted themselves well.
They really have. I mean, women's soccer was undefeated through its first 4 games. Volleyball has swept 4 opponents, including 3 ranked opponents already this year. Obviously, the men's soccer team is always strong and was in the top 10 early in the year. And then the ACC network was on campus for a couple of days leading up to last night's football game, in which the Mustangs really ran right over Florida State. And all Florida State did was win the conference championship a year ago. So, yes, SMU has been waiting for a long, long time to get into this conference. And the year is far from over, but the Mustangs across the board in different sports are off to a very good start.
After the giveaway, Lopez carries it in, finds Bailey Sparks, who already has an assist. Sparks attracting 4 Vaqueros. Tries to play it through them over to Neve Berkovitz, and it's cleared at least for now. But Owen Zarnick finds Lamar Bynum with under 20 minutes left to play in the first half. Having a little trouble with our score bug. We'll get it back up, but we can tell you right now, SMU on top of UTRGV in this non-conference match. 1-0, a Neve Berkovitz goal by SMU in the 6th minute. And we've got 19:23 to play in the opening half. Alex Salvo making a forward move. Salvo getting it back. Speeding it out to Jalen Mitchell. Mitchell's been dangerous early, making a start for Kieran Pino. And a third corner of the evening on the way for SMU.
Mustangs a little bit disjointed there as Salvo and Escorcia sort of almost ran into each other. And for just a half a second, they looked at each other as if to say, are you taking it? Am I taking it? And so they had to pause for a second. Fortunately, Jalen Mitchell was able to regain possession and leading to this corner for Bailey Sparks.
Third corner of the evening. See where Sparks puts it. He went line drive near post last time. This time he goes to the top of the 6. It's punched out, but kept alive. And before Bynum can put a boot on it up high, it's cleared away, at least initially. But Salvo going back post. Brock Pope trying to keep it in. And an offside flag is issued against SMU.
Yeah, Brock Pope was pinned against, I believe it was Endo. Or excuse me, it was 15, not 5. It was Sota Matsuo. And Pope was out on the left side, so as they're looking at that pass coming across, Pope was closer to the end line of the field. If they had switched positions and still been hip to hip, he would have been onside, and the ball would have still been in play.
SMU goes into the bench for the first time, and notably, they're making a change at the striker position. A guy that's never played striker before at this level, and Enzo Pinozzo is on, and you know that his work rate is going to be just fine as the 6'1 junior from Rock Island, Illinois is on in place of Milton Lopez. Richard Garcia also comes in for SMU, replacing Alex Salvo, getting Salvo a rare rest. Salvo has only come off once all season, Steve, and this is only the second time Kevin Hudson's had an opportunity to get him off the field.
Alex Salvo is one of those guys that a lot of fans don't notice. Let me tell you, Kevin Hudson notices him.
Yeah.
He has said several times, I'd love to get a rest for this guy or that guy, but I can't take Alex Salvo off the field. He's just too valuable. He puts in tons of mileage in that middle third, and he's so good at getting and maintaining possession for the Mustangs. It's a talent, a skill that every coach covets. It doesn't always show up on the box score, but every coach wants somebody like an Alex Salvo.
Meanwhile, started to talk about Enzo Pinozzo, and you know him out there because he's got the blondest wig right now. But for Pinozzo, an interesting conversation before the game with Kevin Hudson as this ball is in the direction of Pinozzo, and it creates a corner kick for SMU. He's a guy that's mainly been used as a closing defender, outside back for SMU. Why is he getting this chance at striker?
Because he runs relentlessly, and he's going to be involved in pressing this UTRGV defense. Your closer description is perfect. He has come into games in the past on the back end, and he runs around like his hair's on fire, chasing the ball, while other guys who have been out there for 60 or 70 minutes may have a little less in the tank. He goes 100 miles an hour every minute he's on the field. And now if you're a defender and you've been dealing with Milton Lopez and Jalen Mitchell and Bailey Sparks and the rest of the threats on the offensive end, now you have a big, strong Enzo Pinozzo coming in off the bench who's going to go top speed for the last 15-30 of the half. He can be a handful, and he is in there to create mistakes by the UTRGV defense.
Not only a former soccer player at IMG Academy, he was also a wide receiver on that national championship team for a time as well for the football squad for IMG, and you know how good they are. And we'll see what kind of impact Enzo Pinozzo makes in kind of his debut at a striker spot here. One thing we know he's going to do is pressure the ball and make it difficult for UTRGV to get out of their own end. For the Vaqueros, down 1-0. They haven't made a sub yet. There's a lot of space for a run by Baltazar. Powers it over the top looking for Torre. Torre trying to run it down but can't do it. It is over the end line. And for SMU, a goal kick.
Yeah, an interesting chance trying to get a diagonal ball through the box, but simply ran out of room.
More subs for SMU. In the midfield, it'll be Stefan Sagamonian, number 30 there, replacing Danny Escorcia. At an outside back spot, number 27, Ryan Clanton-Pimentel replaces Jalen Mitchell. And also coming in at outside back in place of Nico Djordjevic for the SMU Mustangs is Noah Urban. So 3 more subs here. A little pressure up front for UTRGV. Haven't had the chance to do this much in the match. Trying to figure out a way to create their first goal since the 12th of September. Lamar Bynum up to Pinozo. It's a play on at least for now. And here comes Freddie Skillberg on his horse. Skillberg out wide. Skillberg dribbling in and picked cleanly by Shabadine. Nice job against a great player in Skillberg.
Freddie Skillberg is a guy who's worked his way back from injury in the beginning of the year. And Kevin Hudson was talking about how he wants so badly to be back at his top level, what he's used to playing at. And we all know that any injury takes a while. Some take a little longer than others. But you could see when that long ball was sent over the top, he got on his horse and he was going after that as hard as he could. Yes, he wanted an offensive chance, but just to be on the field and to be in the mix, he just looked like a guy who absolutely wanted that.
Mustangs still control the big shot advantage in this match against UTRGV after getting the opening goal. Now looking for more. Here's Pinozo. Has it taken away from him, and Pinozo's called for the foul. Trying to hunt down that ball in the feet of Endo.
A little bit of a football player playing a different kind of football on that one.
Absolutely. And a giveaway. Skillberg trying to feed it inside to Sagamonian. But instead it's going to be Endo running it down.
And we can point out Pinozo's football background, and it makes for an interesting story, but let's not get this twisted. Kevin Hudson said that he and his coaching staff have been very impressed with the way Enzo Pinozo has been training as a striker and just forced his way into the lineup tonight.
Ricardo Joasilis wearing number 21 for UTRGV, and is that 6th player for UTRGV, the defensive midfielder. Vaqueros take one away in an offensive position. Torre goes out wide and finds Matsuo. Back to Joasilis, who started the last 3 matches, I should say, after missing the first 3 matches of the season. So Joasilis, transfer from Tyler Junior College, getting his first run of the night. Vaqueros have one shot. It's a nice save by Martin Dominguez, but moments later, he took a little spike from Sukati to the head. Was able to stay in the match. Brock Pope heads this one up in the air. And a chance for the Vaqueros to win this one. Meanwhile, we're told that UTRGV's Hodiso Sukati picked up a yellow card, you would assume, for that impact on Martin Dominguez. Additionally, Pablo Torre picked up a yellow as well. I didn't see what Torre did, and we'll find out after the match. Maybe it was dissent or something like that, but a couple more yellows against UTRGV earlier this half that we were not aware of previously. Spinning his way toward the goal, Francis goes down with no call, and Bailey Sparks takes it away for SMU with a long ball to Ryan Clanton-Pimentel up the left. Pimentel in on the left side of the 18, plays it across, a half clearance up in the air, and Joasilis able to clear it away where Bynum takes over, and Skillberg tries to run in and work his way around Vera. His legs are cut out, and SMU will have a free kick in a great spot.
Skillberg is lobbying for a yellow against Vera, but it was a nice deceptive play by Skillberg, because as Vera closed in, I assume Vera realized that Clanton-Pimentel was out wide, and probably thought that Skillberg might redirect it at an angle. Instead, he barely touched the ball, so it stayed almost in a straight line, and he tried to spin around Vera. Vera really had no choice but to take him down, although he does sacrifice a free kick in what can be a very dangerous spot for a shooter like Bailey Sparks if he opts to go for the net.
Sparks ready to deliver. Strikes it low, deflection and in! Richard Garcia gets his SMU opener on the deflection, and the Mustangs are up 2-0.
How's that for a goal? I think he was absolutely trying to dummy that ball and let it go through, and it caught the inside of his leg. Here you see the low line drive. And Garcia's left leg was hanging back, and it bangs off his shin or his shin guard just enough to change direction and take a little short hop that went up and over Alexis Gonzalez to double the margin before with 8:52 left in the first half.
That's another assist by Bailey Sparks, his 6th of the season, 2nd of the night. And Richard Garcia in his 11th game as an SMU Mustang, 8 this year, 3 last year, scores his first goal. It's his 2nd career goal. He scored at Cal Poly in 2022 in his freshman season. So it's been quite a while for the former Solar SC star.
I'm not sure now whether it was Garcia or whether it was a defender who got a toe on it, in which case that would be a Bailey Sparks goal, I think.
Or an own goal. But we will get the official word. Of course, the official score sits right down from the PA announcer, and the PA announcer issued it as a Garcia goal.
Right.
And we'll go ahead and look at the official stats as well. They give it to Richard Garcia. They said off of right foot, assist by Bailey Sparks. Semantics, of course, but these are things that will live on. And it's one of these you be the judge moments.
All right, here we go with a slow-mo. I think that's off the defender. In which case that would become a Bailey Sparks goal. That doesn't look like an own goal. It wasn't played back by
just deflected.
Right, by Joe Asilas. So that becomes a Bailey Sparks.
SMU with a quick restart. Sagamonian has the wide open goal, and they count it for the SMU Mustangs. Bailey Sparks has his 3rd assist, and it's the opener for Stefan Sagamonian from Santa Clarita, California. 3-0 SMU.
And there are 11 players in white, or let's say 10 in white, and a goalie, all looking at referee Michael Laverne as if to say, hey, we weren't ready, or he took off too quickly.
There will be a video assisted review on this one. Laverne will come over, and in the moment that the goal was scored, they're going to see if there was should have been an offside call, I believe, if I had my lip reading correct here. So maybe not the restart. I think the only thing that there are only certain things that they can review, right, Steve? That's something that you've told me before.
Right, and that's true in any sport.
Right.
That is something you can review, but you add a wrinkle to it in the sense that a player can basically take himself out of a play and therefore be not offsides. If the ball goes, if there's a shot on goal, for instance, and there's an offensive player down near the net, comes back the other way with the opposing team, and there's a quick turnover, that offensive player can then either sit down or walk off the field, basically to take himself out of the play and therefore eliminate the possibility of an offside. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here.
We've gotten confirmation that the video assisted review here is going to be to see whether or not SMU was offside in the construct of scoring the goal here, which initially would be, again, Bailey Sparks' 3rd assist of the match officially right now.
Right.
And we know that could be changed later. And Stefan Sagamonian's first goal of his career. A pretty quick look by Michael Laverne. And, of course, the quick restart is going to be the scourge for UTRGV. Looks like it's going to stand. It is a goal. Michael Laverne points to the middle. And let's look at it right now. I think I would only wonder about Enzo Pinozo there possibly being offside. But Bailey Sparks touched it. It wasn't moving. And although he had a player down next to the ball on all fours that some people were looking at, that distracted on the play, Sparks was able to restart it to make it 3-0.
And a lot of teams, even with young kids, learn that you can sometimes catch an opposing team napping if you have a restart while somebody's getting up off the ground or tying a shoe or something like that. It rarely works.
Did I ever tell you about my big assist I made in junior high basketball?
I don't believe so.
Well, it was unofficially an assist.
Right.
See, we had an inbound play where I, the worst player on the team, would distract the opponent by getting down on all fours and barking like a dog.
Please tell me you're kidding.
Meanwhile, the inbound pass went to a teammate who scored a layup, and I celebrated wildly.
I am going to need video of this.
I don't think
the
video
ACC
exists.
network needs video of this.
And I can even tell you, I could walk you back to the gym it occurred at this Christian school in Oak Cliff, right there at the intersection of 35 and 67. You know the one, Christ for the Nations, I think. And it absolutely happened. It absolutely happened.
I don't doubt it at all.
And that's story time with John. 3-0 the SMU Mustangs up on UTRGV after the quick restart. And for the Vaqueros, it's now 3 consecutive halves where defensively they've given up 3 goals.
Yeah, and you get a lift when you get your regular goalkeeper back, and Alexis Gonzalez certainly is that. He's been a fixture in the lineup before he got hurt, and the Vaqueros are thrilled to have him back. But you have to think that no matter how hard he's been training, there is the risk of some rust.
As this is a foul on SMU's new backup striker, Enzo Pinozo.
But there's also a step up in opposition as well. And the Mustangs are a team that can score. So the back end has been a little bit under siege for UTRGV.
5 minutes left in the first half. It's been SMU early and often in this match. Neve Berkovitz scoring his second of the season, and then a couple openers this year, one by Richard Garcia, officially right now. And we'll see how that holds up. Certainly would love to see Garcia get on the board. And then the most recent one from Sagamonian. And right now, Bailey Sparks is credited with 3 assists in the match. Sparks before the match, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just thought this is a great time to bring it up. He talked to the team about how he wanted to see them play more direct early and really be more aggressive offensively, and that has played out.
It has, and you know, Kevin Hudson and his staff, they are a staff that listens to their players. Obviously, they have game plans for every team and every situation, but when a player like Bailey Sparks speaks up and sees something in the scouting of an opponent and asks specifically, can we do a little of this, can we do a little of that, the coaches are an agreeable bunch who are willing to listen. Doesn't mean they'll always say yes, but they do consider it, whereas some coaching staffs will say, absolutely not. We have a plan, we're going to do it, and nothing else.
Pinozo steps over it. Irvin on the backside. Irvin off of the right side. And it ricochets out for a goal kick. Noah Irvin just missed his first goal. Just cranking it off the post.
Irvin cranking is right. He absolutely blasted this shot. The goal shook when he hit it. That was a direct shot, and he crushed it.
SMU has been threatening all evening. They've got their first 3-goal match of the season. Their previous high was 2. They had done that against Denver, Cal, UIW, and Virginia Tech, but never had a 3-goal match this season. Good reversal up the right side to Vera. Vera trying to get the Vaqueros on the board. Dumps it back for Matsuo. Into the box. Solid header. Sukati at 6'3", but KG lifts it up high.
And that is what Sukati is. He's a big, strong guy. He's fast, and he is 6'3". You cannot teach 6'3". He can get off the ground, and you see the look on his face. He'd love to have that one back because it was a beautiful serve, and he drilled it, just got a tiny bit under it.
Another one of the best chances in this match for UTRGV. They've had a couple of them. First one coming off the left boot of Kibiano Francis, or rather, it was off of Kimito Fritz, and then this one off the head of Sukati. SMU would love the chance to score one more in the half, but with 2 minutes left, this one's nipped away from Bailey Sparks, and the Vaqueros back the other way after the intercept by Francis. Little offensive advancement by the Vaqueros. This is chipped in. And good job to close down the space by SMU defensively and force a corner kick instead of a cross coming in live play.
It was a nice little push there by the Vaqueros, in part because they switched fields twice so quickly that they're able to stretch out the SMU defense laterally just a little bit to create some space, and didn't get a shot, but did end up getting the corner out of it.
The line drive restart, and keeping it alive, Endo trying to turn. The center back against Sparks, centers it in front, it just misses KG Sukati, and Martin Dominguez lays on it.
You know, we often think of Bailey Sparks as more of an offensive player. Gets away with a little bit of a tug on the jersey. Endo with a nice spin away from Sparks and cranks it into the middle. Didn't miss Sukati by much, but Martin Dominguez was there.
Dominguez with another clean sheet so far, and a save to his credit. 25 seconds left in a long first half because of injury. Sagamonian down low. Pinozo lost sight of it, tries to slide in and keep it alive, and instead a goal kick with 10 seconds left in the first half. You know that Enzo Pinozo's a guy that's going to run his dimples off. 3-0, the SMU Mustangs on top of UTRGV at the break in Dallas. A feel-good first half for the Mustangs.
Yeah, the Mustangs have looked impressive, and you know, you sometimes think about, depending on the opponent, about urgency and intensity, and I think the Mustangs have brought that tonight.
And it places Bailey Sparks here at one of the holding midfield spots to start the second half.
And Salvo will get his next rest, what, after he graduates?
Maybe so, especially when you get into conference games or games against ranked opponents. Alex Salvo won't be coming off the field anytime soon. Meanwhile, a stoppage as the second ball has rolled onto the field, or was just sitting there anyway. And with that being the case, UTRGV will have possession as we get restarted here.
I was going to say, you don't often see a stoppage of the clock 9 seconds into a half.
No, you do not. So where is the offensive spark going to come from for UTRGV? They've had a couple of opportunities. Think about KG Sukati just missing on a header, and pretty good run by Kimito Fritz as he was trying to get on the board for the first time this season. Transfer from Barton Community College, who was an offensively minded player while playing at Barton. One thing you'll notice for UTRGV is their international flair. A lot of guys from Japan, you got some South African connections, and of course, Central and South American players as well, in addition to a lot of guys from the U.S. So the Vaqueros not afraid at all to dip into the international waters.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we talked about Suarez being a former captain of the under-20 national team in Venezuela. Coach Hancock and his staff do a wonderful job of finding players and going anywhere they have to go get them.
Skillberg deciding to take it himself after feigning on it a couple times, and it results in a corner for SMU.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing. You know, Skillberg saw there's a defender in front of him, a couple defenders in front of him. I think he was looking for a cross to one of his teammates at the back post. But if you don't get it on goal, it certainly doesn't hurt to get a corner kick.
Richard Garcia going to take the corner with Bailey Sparks not in the game to start the second half. Garcia going back post. The header opportunity knocked down. Jalen Mitchell toe pokes it wide.
Nice little shot by Jalen Mitchell, settling it and getting a low left-footed drive that I don't think missed that far post by a whole lot.
While UTRGV is about ready to go into conference play, SMU is going to step back into it. SMU so far 2-1-0 in conference play. They've had a couple non-conference matches in a row. They will have one more around their conference slate, which has 5 matches left in it, starting with a match at Duke next Friday, their first match in the month of October. Then they'll come home against Stanford on Friday the 11th before hosting Central Arkansas on Tuesday night, 15th of October. And this is going to be a foul on UTRGV. Let's see what happened here with Sucati.
Yeah, Sucati got into the feet of, I believe it's Garcia. Nothing intentional, but you get into that ankle area and it can be a little tender. Good for the Mustangs to see Garcia back up and on his feet and ready to go. But you talked about the opponents that SMU has played, some heavyweights like St. Louis and Denver and Pitt and Cal and Virginia Tech. And for a lot of teams, that's the rough part of the season. For SMU, you're in the ACC. You're going to see teams like that. Obviously, Denver and St. Louis are not in the ACC. But this schedule is brutal, and it's going to be the norm.
You know, somebody said to me last night, I like to play the playoffs before you get in the playoffs. As you look at this Garcia serve looking for Brock Pope, and a pretty good ball there, and off of Pope for a goal kick. You like to be in that postseason mode, and SMU or any team in the ACC, they're going to be in postseason mode before they go to the postseason. That's why so many ACC teams end up in the College Cup every single season, whether it be on the women's side or the men's side.
Right, and look, every game in the ACC is tough, right? The league is absolutely stacked. But you look outside the ACC, and SMU has a victory over St. Louis when it was number 6 in the country, and a draw against Denver. So the resume build at ranked number 5, right? So the resume building is there. If they can get through the ACC portion of this murderer's row schedule, then if they can make it to the postseason, then they will be as battle tested as anybody. And it's one of the things that coaches deal with and have to consider every year in every sport. Okay, you know who you're going to play in your conference, whatever the conference is. So some coaches take the approach of scheduling cupcakes in the non-conference part of the season that you know you can beat up on and you can pad your stats a little bit. Okay, that's one way to get victories. And you have others who schedule absolute heavyweights who are going to put you through the ringer. And Kevin Hudson has done the latter.
Kevin Hudson, who was part of the SMU College Cup team back in 2000 as a freshman. And it just so happens Brahim Hancock, the head coach at UTRGV, was the keeper for UConn in the College Cup that year.
These two have known each other a long, long time. And when you ask each of them about the other, they're very, very complimentary of each other as coaches and as players. We often do games where the coaches know each other from having crossed paths, either coaching against each other or recruiting against each other. These guys played against each other.
At the highest level you can in college soccer, the College Cup.
Exactly.
UConn went on to win the College Cup that year, which was the senior season for Brahim Hancock and the Huskies. He was the Big East Goalkeeper of the Year, an All-American that season as well, picked by the LA Galaxy the spring after, and had a little bit of a pro career before moving into the coaching ranks. The head coach at Radford for 3 years before he became the head coach of UTRGV. Right after the pandemic started, it was November of 2020 when he took over the reins.
And I asked Coach Hancock whether he remembers playing against SMU, whether Kevin Hudson ever took a shot on him, so that, you know, we could say either he stopped a shot or he gave up a goal or whatever it was. And he laughed and said, no, I don't think Kevin Hudson took a shot against him. He didn't remember it anyway.
It's the fourth yellow card of the game on UTRGV. Takedown by Arev Vera. So Vera with his third yellow of the season is up a little bit short. Garcia runs onto this ball trying to stay dangerous, slides it inside, and it gets taken away by the Vaqueros.
Hey, Owen Zarnik is on a 2-game offensive heater, and you know, they like to say that when players get a taste of scoring, they want more of it. He's willing to pull the trigger, and he showed his goal against FIU. He has a very, very strong shot.
We've heard from both his parents in the last few weeks. They obviously get a chance to watch a lot of games as this one skims across and then is sailed over the top. The driving shot by Nico Allen ends up high.
Nice run here by Baltazar. Gets the ball all the way across, and then it's so hard to hit a one-timer shot, and that was basically a short hop trying to take it off the first bounce.
I know Nico Allen just missing on that one. And you can tell how much Martin Dominguez wants to keep that clean sheet and wants to keep that defense working in front of him as well. As I said, we've heard from Zarnik's family, and his mom even made it to this game. So she really wanted to see that third goal in as many games. Steve Berkovich receiving the ball, getting it back for Freddie Skilberg. Skilberg on the left foot, short space. It is saved and then hopped on by Alexis Gonzalez.
Skilberg was smelling the goal as well as he tried to hurdle over Suarez, who was laying down on the ground and was just a half step late before Gonzalez beat him to the ball.
Gonzalez in perfect position there to make the save, however. Started this match with a nice save, but he's been victimized by a ton of shots by SMU in this match. 3 have found the back of the net. 3 different scores for SMU, but Bailey Sparks involved in each one with a goal and 2 assists. Nice ball over the top. Francis trying to win, getting around Irvin. His drive is just a little bit wide. Kiviano Francis, a dangerous run.
Really nice shot by Francis, and he's got some obvious wheels. Gets a step on Noah Irvin, and then he also hits a one-timer. He at least has the benefit of the ball being on the ground, and it goes a little bit wide, but he has got a lot of speed and really cranked that shot.
Francis opened his career account against SMU last year. Francis trying to get it back. Instead, a drive from out front is blocked off the foot of Allen. It creeps forward in the direction of KG Sukati, but Dominguez is there.
Dominguez is there, and you have to wonder if, as he came out and grabbed that ball, whether he realized that was Sukati closing in on him as well. Because the last time they met ended up with Dominguez getting that wrap around his head.
It's because, not an intentional cleating by any case, but certainly the boot by Sukati scraping across the forehead of Martin Dominguez, and took some medical attention to make sure he stayed in this match. Kept the clean sheet intact. So far he has 2 shutouts this year and looking for a third, but there's a long way to go. On this drive, it is sent away by Zarnik and dies in the corner to prevent from being a corner kick or a throw-in. However, the Vaqueros do win this ball. And out front, Matsuo Feeds it out wide. Fritz. And tries to bounce it back door for Oniko Allen, but just too strong for Allen.
Right side, right side. Right side again. Right side. Up.
Fritz, a good idea. He's been one of the better players for UTRGV in this matchup.
We had a substitution a few moments ago as Arev Vera checked out of the game, meaning his night is over because of the new substitution rules. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that he is the first player in any game you've ever called whose first name and last name are spelled the same except in reverse.
I don't have the mind to see things like that. Obviously you do. And I think that is the better story here. Yeah,
what's
absolutely.
wrong with me?
No, maybe what's right with you. I'm fascinated by things like that, the way you see the world.
I saw it on the roster, and I was trying to think of what the right term is where, there you go, palindrome, where it's spelled the same forward and backward, or even when you just have the same letters scrambled to, anyway, it's a word nerd problem, I get it. I've certainly never seen anyone with that.
So his entire name is a palindrome.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, it is.
AREVVERA.
Oh my goodness. Why do we not have a whole package on this? Why are you just now telling me about this?
We're calling a soccer game, not an English
This is going
class.
to distract me all night. A tip of the cap to the parents of Arev Vera, who certainly pulled one on the world that day. His name is Arev?
Arev Vera.
Arev? Where did you get that? Well, we just respelled our last name. I'm saying it's fascinating. I love this. 33 minutes left. 3-0 lead for SMU.
Well, above and beyond his name, I'm also a big fan of watching him play. He's a heck of a player for the Vaqueros.
Steve shifting it back to soccer really quickly. It's best he can do. You know that's not going to stop me once I get going.
I am an incurable soccer nerd. We know that.
That's fine with me. Big tackle by Garcia, but it stays alive out to Kivio El Francis. Little tug out top as the Vaqueros play to possession and get an opportunity to see what they can do with it. Meanwhile, for the SMU Mustangs, they're starting the second half with kind of a hodgepodge lineup of starters and backups. As Skillberg ends up taking down Cesar Balatzar, but you see that Raheem Hancock, ever the competitor, really wants to get restarted fast.
And Skillberg showing a little bit of a physical side because right before that takedown of Baltazar, he and Cade Erickson were sort of trading shoves and tugging jerseys and trying to get past each other as well. You think of Skillberg as, a quick finesse kind of player, but he's not afraid to mix it up just a little bit.
A rare final third foul by Salvo here. And UTRGV will get a great restart opportunity. Meanwhile, Garcia's been sent away to go grab a piece of equipment off the ground.
Somebody lost a shin guard in the process. But you mentioned a rare defensive third foul on Salvo. Part of what makes him so valuable is, yes, he chases the ball. Yes, he gets possession and helps the Mustangs maintain possession. But so often he's able to knock the ball away from an opponent and get possession for SMU without committing a foul. It's one thing to go out and just run people over. He doesn't do that. He's a tough physical player, but he's anything but a dirty player.
Oniko Allen ready to go on the free kick. Allen saved by Dominguez, lunging toward the post to keep it out of the goal.
Beautiful save by Dominguez, and we saw him right before this restart aligning the defensive wall in front of him, and he pushed them to the right, knowing that if this shot was going to come at it, it was going to bend around the right end. I think he was moving before the ball was even struck. He guessed the right direction, laid out, and defended it perfectly.
A corner for Baltazar. low liner played out initially by Garcia. A rebound opportunity. Header stays in. Another one. Finally, SMU wins a header, and in the process, a foul as well. As we got underneath Brock Pope. And Pope trying to get his team's attention here in a 3-0 game.
Yeah, Garcia with a little bit of a mishit clearing it out, but then he quickly closes the gap and snuffed out that cross into the middle and really interrupted interrupted the play into the center of the field.
Like Soda Matsuo, whose name is not a palindrome, cut in underneath Brock Pope.
Oh, I regret bringing that up.
Pick up the foul on the play. .30 minutes left in Dallas. SMU on top 3-0. No scoring in the second half after SMU was able to get on the board 3 times in the first half. SMU still dominating the scoring opportunities, although UTRGV has had better fortune playing against this particular lineup and doing a better job in the final third of creating some opportunities. Hustle play made by Lopez to swing it into SMU possession. Garcia tries to get it restarted out to Jalen Mitchell in a dangerous space, playing left outside back in place of Kieran Pino, who is missing his second straight start.
Mustangs have gone 15 minutes into this half without bringing Bailey Sparks off the bench. No Danny Escorcia, as you mentioned, Kieran Pino out. If they can maintain this lead or even extend it without putting more miles on the tires of those guys, that can be the kind of strategic move by Kevin Hudson that can pay off in future games by getting them some much-needed rest.
And for SMU, they don't play for a little while, not till the end of the week at Duke, but this is the second game this week, and so you got to think about that part of the workload. In addition to that, you're going to have a long flight out to Durham as well, to Raleigh-Durham to take on Duke, and so with that being the case, it's a difficult and an important weekend ahead for SMU, and I think you're exactly right. Having some different guys on the field in the second half is much to SMU's liking.
Sure, and not only do you get rest for people like the Bailey Sparkses of the world, who rarely come off the field, but you also get very, very valuable minutes for some of these other guys who are playing a little more extended time tonight than they have in many of the other games.
Entry feed will come in quickly, and SMU on the restart. As you see Sparks with a goal and 2 assists, and this one certainly filling up his stat column once more. You got to watch out for him as a possible ACC Offensive Player of the Week with a goal and 3 assists this week, even if he doesn't get back on the field. Zarnik back down to Irvin. Irvin trying to turn the corner. Beautiful play by Baltazar. I don't know how he kept it in.
I don't know either. I mean, when you're running toward the end line like that, you're basically throwing a leg in front of it and hoping it hits you. And that often results in a corner kick, but Baltazar played it beautifully and kept it in possession for the Vaqueros.
What's your favorite palindrome?
Aravera.
Aravera.
I don't have a favorite palindrome.
What about Rotator? Rotator's a good one.
Sure.
Rotator. Radar.
As long as there's not a cuff at the end of it.
Radar's outstanding. How about Frederick Skilberg coming inside? Skilberg run over at the top of the 18. No foul given, as Matsuo and Skilberg got tangled up, and Gonzalez reaches it.
You see Skilberg getting into the box, and I think if he had pulled the trigger before that last crossover dribble, he might have been able to get a shot away, and whether he would have gotten on net, we'll never know. But that extra step, cutting back, allowed Soto Matsuo just enough time to track him down from behind. Now, Skilberg, of course, will argue that he was taken down from behind in the box and should be standing over a penalty kick right now, but that was not the way referee Michael Laverne saw it.
The Vaqueros have one to Baltazar, feeding it centrally to Francis, who has been a problem player. Baltazar back out to the corner. However, You have an offside flag up on the far side, and the Vaqueros will give it back to SMU. It's been a long time since Brahim Hancock has seen this game at level. Level, another one of my favorite palindromes. Not since the 6th minute of this match, where SMU's Neve Berkovitz was able to score his second of the season.
But you watch the body language of Brahim Hancock. He's such an animated coach. And if you watch him on the sideline, you would never know whether his team is up 3 goals, down 3 goals, or in a deadlock. He coaches every minute of every game with urgency and intensity and teaching.
Absolutely. Out front, Sagamonian, who opened his account back in the first half. Feeds it outside, and Bynum touches it out to Mitchell. Mitchell, the moves of a race car, palindrome. Here's Owen Zarnik. Right back to Mitchell on the back door. Mitchell keeps it in and is onside. And a throw in for SMU. Well, no, Bynum's going to reach it. Almost did. And it is an SMU throw, and it did get over in time. Garcia serves it across. Skilberg was in the air. Second chance by Irvin, and it's pulled away by UTRGV. The Vaqueros, Francis pulls it out. Good move through the defense by Allen, but it's pulled away from him just into the 18 by Brock Pope. However, the Vaqueros advancing, in Endo able to keep it alive and dump it down to Elisis.
There was a good move by Allen, splitting a couple of SMU defenders, and as he bounced off of Lamar Bynum, he hit the deck, landing in the penalty box, and some of the volunteer officials wearing the white jerseys from UTRGV were trying to help make the call to get a penalty kick, but again, there's only one opinion that matters on those things.
For much of the second half, this 11 has remained unchanged. You mentioned the one change for the Vaqueros. No changes for SMU yet in the second half. As Kevin Hudson continues to see how this grouping plays together. Right now they've been able to keep things level with the Vaqueros. They led 3-0 at the half. There's a chance out front. Allen loses it on that first touch. He recovers back to it, tries to slide it inside for Sukati, and it's cleared out of trouble.
And as soon as you say that SMU hasn't gone into the bench, there are now 6 players heading to the midfield line, some or all of whom I guess will check in, and it includes Bailey Sparks and Nico Djordjevic and Danny Escorcia and Neve Berkovitz, Enzo Pinozo and Ryan Clanton-Pimentel. So if you're UTRGV and you've held even for about half of the second half, now you've got five guys who started the game getting ready to come in with fresh legs.
Remember, you have limited moments in which to substitute as well. Only 6 times over the course of a match can you do so, and so you've got to think about what grouping goes in together. It's not just one at a time. You can't do that 6 times in the second half.
Right. Under the old rules, you'd see a team that's nursing a 1-goal lead would send 1 substitute up, and then a minute later send 1 substitute up, and basically kill off half the clock just with the time spent with players walking on and off the field. The new rule obviously is designed to take that sort of stalling tactic out of it.
Here's the drive into the 6. It is leaked away. And trying to turn the corner and keep it in, and doing so successfully with the drive is Shuntaro Endo. But his shot is deflected and wide.
Really nice job getting around Salvo. The ball squeaked all the way through the mouth of the goal, and I thought Salvo was going to clear it, but Endo took it away from him and then spun all the way around him to keep it in and send a shot toward the side of the net that was deflected into the side netting.
With 21 to go, curling ball to the near post, headed out solidly by SMU. And this chance for UTRGV is defied. It's a palindrome. Up the floor in the field, Sagamonian plays it all the way across. And
no, it's not.
Have I been defied?
You
Oh, deified, excuse me. Deified, not defied. Bailey Sparks is one that might be deified at the end of this game. Just simply because he's at another level, which is also a palindrome. So for the SMU Mustangs, there's the deified Bailey Sparks. And I do appreciate the way you spell check me as Sparks comes back in.
Sometimes it's a sickness. A lot of my coworkers do not appreciate it.
So if you're scoring at home, you may need to repaper yourself, get yourself another piece of paper, palindrome, because SMU brings in a host of new players here.
Yeah, you now have the bulk of the lineup that started the game. And again, you have the bulk of the lineup that started the game, and it's rested.
And with the way Bailey Sparks has just controlled play in this match, with his goal and 2 assists, UTRGV's chances might be few and far between in the final 19 and a half minutes here. Georgievich was also good early. This may have been played by a hand, but play on. Georgievich inside. Georgievich feigns on it. Georgievich goes after goal. And what a run all the way to the top of the 18 by a smiling Nico Georgievich.
Yeah, you see the big smile on Georgievich's face. The first guy he had to beat, he sort of banged it off a defender's arm, kept the possession, and then he had a start, stop, start again hesitation move that freed him up for just a step worth of space. And Georgievich doesn't shoot much, but he pulled the trigger, and it was close, but deflected wide, setting up this corner for Bailey Sparks.
Sparks will be allowed to in-swing from this corner to the back post, and Brock Pope being leaned on just missed. I tell you, Brock Pope is a whisker away from getting on the board every single night.
And you can see his frustration as he goes running back down the field. He knows it. So you see him. So he was not only being leaned on, but he had Camito Fritz's arm wrapped around him, backing up into Pope. Pope didn't object to the officials. You could argue that he would have had a legitimate claim had he done so.
But part of being on the ground for Brock Pope, it seems, is just his civic duty. Crosser into the box. This gets away. Turning on it. Allen poked away. Georgievich can do it on both ends. And look at him just speed past players like they're standing still.
It's got some jets up that sideline, and it's so dangerous to pick the ball clean in the box because it's, you know, obviously you're a whistle away from a penalty kick.
And I apologize. That was Clinton Pimentel who was on that left side on that one, and I definitely want to refer to the right person. As Georgievich is able to defend on that.
Georgievich has wheels too, but on that one also used some of his strength to step between the player and the ball and separate the two.
When we think about the offensive side of the two wingbacks, or there are multiple wingbacks on this team, but a big tenet of any wingbacks time on the field for SMU is going to be defending as well, of course, as Danny Escorcia moves to his right, has it played away. How do you feel like SMU is defensively at the wingback position this season?
Strong, and perhaps overlooked, because in both cases you got Nico Georgievich on the right, and normally you have Kieran Pino on the left, and both of them are critically important in the offensive aspect of the game. Pino goes up and down the sideline, can shoot from virtually anywhere, He can get all the way to the corner flag and turn and send beautiful crosses into the middle. Djordjevic is more of a guy who will dribble past somebody or make diagonal runs into the box.
Garcia, dangerous play here. Gets toward Clanton Pimentel, and this one is punted toward Moody Coliseum and the practice facility by Fritz.
I think both are very underappreciated defensive players as well. Obviously, they get noticed when they score or when they set up their teammates for a goal. But you talk to the SMU coaches, and they will tell you that both Kieran Pino and Niko Djordjevic can be absolute lockdown defenders on the outside, and those are positions where you often have to go against your opponent's most dangerous offensive threats. So while it looks cool to go forward and take a shot or find one of your teammates on a beautiful cross, that is not the only part of the job that is critically important, and they both do it very, very well on both ends.
And it's just been a tough stretch for UTRGV, now having to go against a capable SMU defensive team. A game after losing 6-0 in Oral Roberts, also getting shut out on the road at HCU, one of the two other Division I universities in Texas, with a collegiate soccer team, and a yellow is issued to SMU for the first time.
And that was about the
on Zarnik.
No, I think it was Garcia. And this is about the lightest contact you'll ever see to draw a yellow card. But the fact that he gives him a little bit of a tug, and the fact that he did it from behind as Cade Erickson was heading toward the top of the 18, Michael Laverne had no choice but to pull out a yellow card. He barely wrinkled the jersey on him, but given the circumstances, there was really no alternative, because that was tantamount to stopping a breakaway.
So Baltazar will be the reviver of this opportunity. Right now, UTRGV intentionally has a man in an offside position. It seems like they're going to change at the last moment here.
So right now you have 18 players right on the 18-yard line.
Here's the restart. And it comes out wide, a run for it by Clanton Pimentel, but it is caught by the Vaqueros, and UTRGV have another shot with a chip in toward the end line, and just a little too strong for Endo.
On that restart, the Vaqueros were looking for Suarez, who again, big, strong player, 6'2", good in the air. And who was it that was chasing him through the box and ushered him out of bounds? Enzo Pinozzo, the former football player, who is among the physically strongest players on this SMU team, got good position and simply ushered Suarez and the ball out of bounds.
And you think about playing Pinozzo at the striker position, you know, in a game like this where it's 3-0, it's probably not going to come down to crunch time in a one-goal match. But when you get Pinozzo time at the striker position, think about the options it gives you at the end of a match when you're trying to close things down. You bring on an extra defender like that, it can really make you defensively more solid at the end of the match.
Absolutely. I mean, that's been his role in years past, is coming in as a defensive close-down guy. And is he the premier technical defender on the team? No. But he is relentless. He has an incredibly high work rate. And again, he will chase and chase and chase and chase until his legs fall off. And those kinds of guys, especially if you're the opposing team and let's say you're down by a goal, trying like crazy to get an equalizer, and you've got this guy coming in, flying around the field at 100 miles an hour, he is so difficult to play against and so frustrating to play against because he never stops. And when he gets to you, he has the strength to bump you off the ball and outrun some folks.
He's Steve Lansdale. I'm John Little. Steve is that a palindrome, Steve Lansdale?
Oh, you're killing me.
Niko Djordjevic, grinded by 2, able to pop it over the top. Coming up next for UTRGV, they step into WAC play against Grand Canyon. Good weight on this ball. Baltazar pops it to the other end and just overshoots Jaime Carrillo, who is cutting in toward that back post, the sophomore from Amarillo with a brave run.
He did overshoot him, but you think about that serve. He gets the ball back on a 1v1 wall pass and hits it on the first strike. And as fast as he was going, it would have been so easy to just launch it a mile over the goal or headed toward the scoreboard in the northeast corner. He did very well to keep it in the field of play and did not miss his target by much.
Jason Robles coming in at the left wing position for UTRGV for the closing 12 minutes of this one. It's Pinozo off a noggin. Eve Berkovitz, who has a goal in this match, chasing it down, and eventually Brock Pope able to feed it off to Lamar Bynum. There's Bailey Sparks. Sparks, a no-look feed off to Danny Escorcia. Down to Pinozo, and in short space, he has it served right back at him. The drive in, saved off the line by a head. Djordjevic way wide. Quentin Pimentel was the one that got the secondary shot. But Pinozo, man, absolutely mashed one in the direction of Alexis Gonzalez.
And Alexis Gonzalez first turns away the Pinozo shot, and then here you see the shot up over Gonzalez, and it's Shintaro Endo who gets his head up and knocks that ball out. Beautiful play by Endo.
Noble Hunt is in the game for the first time in a couple years, the senior defender. And Noble Hunt getting a chance to put his foot on it. As SMU plays a little bit more of a 4 across the back now with Noble Hunt out there. And here comes Danny Escorcia. Escorcia back off to Pinozo, reverses it over to Djordjevic. SMU hasn't scored in the second half. Djordjevic on the drive. A corner is on the way thanks to the defensive play of Robles.
Such a subtle little fake by Djordjevic. You see him creep toward the defender, and as soon as Bastos committed to him, he was able to tap the ball around him. Then a nice recovery to not give up a serve into the middle, but Djordjevic is a very creative and very deceptive player, and it was just a little flick to get around him, get that cross away.
Bailey Sparks with another corner kick. Goes to the back post and run down by Hunt in the corner, looking to win another one for SMU, but instead it goes over the end line. Yeah, Noble Hunt, the son of Clark Hunt, grandson of Lamar Hunt. Jason Robles out wide for UTRGV, under 10 minutes left to play. Reverses it and dumps it back to Mendoca Bastos, who is in the match. And as Niko Djordjevic marches up the field, he's denied.
You know, we were talking a moment ago about the defensive abilities of Niko Djordjevic and Kieran Pino. Well, Bailey Sparks is the same way. Bailey Sparks, you think of a guy who, how many points does he have this year? How many assists does he have this year? You think of him as an offensive stud, and he is, but really nice job defending 1v1, really 1v2, as he had one man and then shifted over to the next when the ball was passed off. Very underrated defensive player as well.
Dominguez, who still has that clean sheet, serves it up the field. SMU trying to win it away. Vaqueros looking for a clean sheet of their own in the second half. Gonzalez has point-blank stop on Enzo Pinozo has kept it 3-0. And now the Vaqueros trying to get dangerous with a cross in the direction of Dominguez, but it's a race for it on the backside, and Djordjevic with that little touch on Robles is able to win it. New central defender in the match as well for SMU. They've got new player in the match in Jeffrey Koch.
On it. Right side, right shoulder, Jeff.
And Koch sends it up the field. Martin Dominguez really liked the way Koch was able to work the field with that one to clear it away.
And if you're Kevin Hudson, it's nice to be able to bring guys like Koch and Hunt off the bench who, yes, they've been in a reserve role, but these are seniors. These are guys who know the system inside and out. They know their responsibilities, and they will be steady, reliable players back there getting valuable minutes at the end of this game.
There are definitely guys in that room that know what to do, as this giveaway is going to end up in the back of the net. And the SMU Mustangs give it away, and it ends up in a goal for Pablo Torre. Martin Dominguez got hands on it, but not enough. 3-1 the score.
Martin Dominguez is going to be upset with giving up the clean sheet, but this is not on him. This was the giveaway that left him in a very unfortunate spot where he wasn't back on his goal line, but he didn't come out that far to cut off the angles as well. He was sort of in that no man's land, and as you said, he got a hand on it, but unable to keep it out of the net.
Pablo Torre with his second goal of the season, and probably the second of many for UTRGV. He's out of Valley View High School in the Valley area. Had 37 goals in 2021. That led the Valley region, and didn't immediately come to the Vaqueros out of his time at Valley View High School. Instead, he transitioned up this way to Arlington and North Texas Soccer Club, where he played for a year for North Texas SC before going back and starting his college career. Escorcia with the takeaway. He finds Clanton Pimentel on the backside and just misses in tight. Clanton Pimentel had to volley it to himself. Comes up a bit wide.
That's a very difficult play for Clanton Pimentel. He gets the cross here from Escorcia. Here you see Escorcia flip it across, and he takes it off the chest after one bounce, and he sees Alexis Gonzalez coming out. And when you're trying to wait for that ball to come down out of the air and you see the goalie coming at you, it looks like a freight train coming at you. And to try to chip the ball over the goalkeeper but not send it over the goal itself, very, very difficult to do.
Play there by Koch to send it away. Right at Martin Dominguez as Jason Robles gives that one a ride. SMU still without their starting center back in Cesar Rubalcaba. They're anticipating him back in the next couple weeks, and the Mustangs showing off some of their depth in this match. And, you know, hopefully what you hope is that depth continues to get better and better over the course of the season through opportunities like this, and they're ready to contribute if needed in the postseason.
Well, yeah, I mean, as you step into not only a harder conference, but the toughest conference in the country, you need more than 11 guys. And no matter how good your starting lineup is, you've got to build quality depth and not just at one or two positions. So, yes, we're seeing a little depth tonight, but the Mustangs certainly will want to build on that in the years ahead. And look, you've heard coaches in all the different sports at SMU talk about how joining the ACC has really impacted the kind of player who is showing an interest in coming to SMU, well, that's men's soccer is no different.
Djordjevic not able to catch up with that one. No doubt, and we're just at the beginning of it, you know.
Right.
The SMU finding out they were headed to the ACC, that news is just now a year old when you think about it.
Right, and it officially began July 1st of this year. And sure, the coaches across campus have known it's coming. And so that has been certainly a talking point with recruits. But it is clear that in every single sport, sure, you always want the best players you can find, but you need more.
Carrillo stepping in. Carrillo knocked into the air and out. And a corner is on the way after Noble Hunt deflects that one away. Jaime Carrillo, what a story. The sophomore out of the Amarillo area. He was just about the best player in the Panhandle for years and years. I mean, he scored all the goals in the Panhandle. He didn't leave any for anybody else. He led the state in goals as a junior and senior at Palo Duro High School.
Away!
UTRGV trying to close the gap down to 1. And this pop to the top of the 18.
Hard, Blue! Let's go! Come on!
And it ends up in a foul eventually on UTRGV as it's Endo. It's eventually called for it here.
Endo landed on Garcia. Nice to see him go over and check on him, but if you're Garcia, you're looking up, you're trying to figure out a way to settle this ball, and then just getting run over and getting landed on, not comfortable experience at all.
SMU has been in control since the 6th minute. Of course, the goal put up by UTRGV will now make the potential game-winning goal. The Bailey Sparks delivery on a free kick that was deflected into the goal. Here's a tough play. Carrillo is out, and Carrillo is able to skip it in just past Dominguez, and it's 3-2 on the 3rd goal of the season. 3rd goal of the career, I should say, of Jaime Carrillo.
Yeah, you see the ball deflected, and really a beautiful through ball here to Carrillo. And the biggest part of that play is just the way he kept his balance as he banged into Noble Hunt. You know, there's a bit of a collision at the top of the box there, and Carrillo kept his feet and then was able to keep his head up, find a corner where he was able to bend the ball around Dominguez, and all of a sudden this is a 1-goal game just like last year.
Ended 2-1 last year, 7-2 the year before, and now a Vaquero team that is a moment away from pulling a tie out here. It's going to pick up another yellow card. And this one going against Ricardo Joacilas. A little frustration here late for both sides. SMU did not want to give up either one of those goals, but on beyond midfield giveaways, the Vaqueros able to take advantage, and credit UTRGV for getting on the board for a couple goals here late. Pinozo now trying to kill it. He's probably pretty good at doing that, but it's nipped away from him. Back out to center where Brock Pope takes over for SMU and bangs it right back down to Pinozo for an SMU throw-in.
Vaqueros none too happy that they're not getting this throw, and of course the Mustangs in no rush at all to get this ball back in bounds.
Niko Djordjevic wants it back. And Djordjevic gets knocked down. No call. Much to his shock. Bailey Sparks with 15 seconds. Killing it out for the SMU Mustangs. Scorsia with 9 seconds. Trying to get it down to Sparks again. And the Mustangs will win it. A little more difficult than it had to be, perhaps. But as players from both teams hitting the ground over and over again. And at the end of this match, here comes some pushing and shoving, and Martin Dominguez, who has not played in quite a while, gets into fisticuffs with some SMU players who come off the bench. And Dominguez has to be held back by actually an SMU player on the play. And this